Well, the weekend has come to an end, but we do not end things here. So, a lot of things have happened on a Sunday for everyone. As you know, we are now in the conclusion of Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling's Tokyo Princess Cup. Who will walk out as the winner? Will it be Yuki Aino or Ryu Mizunami? And who will be the one to challenge Miyu Watanabe for the Princess of Princess Championship? Well, we'll see until the very end. And of course, as you all know, Marigold will continue with more of the Summer Gold Shine. However, this is a very important event. As you all know, this is the last time we say goodbye to Giulia, and she will be in a gauntlet match against the entirety of the roster and, of course, some surprises. And then we move on with Stardom. As you know, we're now getting closer and closer to the finale. As you probably can guess, who will be at the top to continue on forward? Well, that's going to be a very, very difficult thing to watch as well, because we're getting closer to August 31st. And then, of course, the moment everybody has been waiting for, AEW All In Wembley Stadium. Oh, effing God. There are a lot of things that took place on both the pre-show and the main card. So we're going to go through A through Z. Real question we ask ourselves when it comes to title matches: we will see title exchanges or the same reigns that we're going to see throughout whenever it continues on. So we'll just have to wait and see. And of course, we have a very small news update to share with everybody to see what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storyline, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, well, we can put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions set aside, it's time to buckle up and enjoy the ride. So let's begin with our very first review, and this one is from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Okay, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. As you all know, we are now coming to the conclusion of the Tokyo Princess Cup. Now, I want to make this one very clear for everybody. This is their annual tournament that happens every year, but it's not a round-robin tournament. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, this is not the tournament where you build up on points and proceed into the next round until you have the enough necessary points. No, this isn't a single elimination tournament that happens every year. And yes, the prize is, of course, is the Princess of Princess Championship. Now, we will talk about that, who will walk out as the winner. Now, of course, like always, we have Saruyi Namba actually doing the opening of giving the fans the info and lowdown, but she also did something for everyone. Apparently, they just added a new person who will be starting next month as a regular member of the roster. Many of you may or may not have heard of her. Her name is Yoshiko Hasegawa. Now, I have seen her, according to the information I know. She was, well, she originally was from At Risk Girls, and then she went freelance for a couple years, and then she made her return full time with Gambari Pro. But recently, she went freelancing due to the fact that, of course, Gambari was no longer being part of the Cyberfight company that owns both DDT, Tokyo Pro Wrestling, and of course Noah. So basically, that's the main reasons why that situation never came up. That was the reason. So her and two others left, Riara and of course Shota. But of course, she is going to be in the match. So let's get started with the opening match. Our first match is Chika Manaze. She takes on Runa Okubo. Now, I haven't seen much about them since they first started because I have like a while back I haven't been keeping track with Tokyo Pro Wrestling, but luckily I was able to do so now. So basically, it was a pretty good match, but Runa was able to apply a single leg crab hold, and just like that, she picked up the win. So not bad. So I can't wait to see these ladies how they grow up. Next match was Shino Suzuki versus Pam Harajuku. Pam is my absolute favorite because the way she acts childish all the time in the ring. So if you guys ever seen her, she does like these, kind of like, she acts like a little, not like a brat, but you know what I mean. But she actually gets the job done. She actually does the bomb to justice, and it's kind of like the famouser, but instead you kind of like pushed off the opponent's shoulder, and boom, just like that. Now our next match, this was a very fun one. We have Ura Takami. She teams up with Mei Shuruga. Now last time these two actually had a one-on-one match, and it seems like they got along. But this seems like a worse nightmare from Balinaki, who's in fact commentating, because he has to put up with, of course, Balinaki for her crap. I mean, not like it's a bad thing, but more the way she does things in the ring. I mean, try to get away with it, try to break the rules, bend the rules a little bit in her favor. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Takami actually does do that. You know, that would be a nightmare. But nonetheless, their opponents are none other than Haru Kazushiro and Mizuki. Now, however, it was Mizuki that picked up the win on Takami with the cutie special, and just like that, it was over. So, uno, dos, tres, just like that. Next up, we have Yoshika Hasegawa making her TJPW debut. She faces against Shoko Nakajima. The match went well. I mean, we know that she's been wrestling for a while now, for a couple years now, but she hasn't had like that big moment yet. We know she has been tag team champion before. Recently, I did talk about her not too long ago, but she's facing against Shoko Nakajima, who is one of the pillars of Tokyo Pro. But nonetheless, she did okay. But it was Nakajima with her finisher, a little suplex move that put her away, and just like that, it was over. Next match, we have Moka Miyamoto and Zara Sakir taking on Kaya Toribami and Rika Tatsumi. Now, of course, you know, this was going to be a very interesting matchup. Not to mention Zara Sakir, she has been a very impressive wrestler. Not to mention, she started out really great, but she was unable to proceed into the finals after losing. And of course, this was her last official event with the promotion, and I'll be seeing her soon, guys. She will be here in San Diego for the West Coast Pro Showdown, San Diego Showdown. So I'm gonna be there. But yeah, but nonetheless, it was Sakir who gave the fans her final match, and of course, gave the win to everybody when she applied her finisher. I don't know what she calls it, and she did that with Toribami, and just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting 8-woman tag match. We have Kaya Summer, Toga, Wakana Uehara, and Yuki Kamifuku. They take on the champions. That's right, all champions. Daisy Monkey, Arisu Endo, and Suzumi are current Princess Tag Team Champions. Yuki Arai, our current International Princess Champion, and of course Miyu Watanabe for the current Princess Champion. Now, however, of course, the same stipulation fits. If they were able to pick up a win, they actually, if the challengers, well, not the challengers, if the first team actually beat one of them, they can get a shot of the title. So, which is obvious. I mean, that is a possibility. But, however, the champions are always the stronger ones of the group. But it was Arisu Endo who picked up the win on Wakana, and just like that, it was over. Now, however, I have seen how Arisu Endo has grown up so much. I mean, not to mention she and Suzumi has accomplished as a tag team. But we're yet to see her accomplish as a single competitor. Now, we have seen her had grown up so much as that too. So she made a very interesting move. So she issued a challenge for the International Princess Championship. And of course, Yukida doesn't mind as well. We know that she's strong, and we'll see where that leads us. So we'll see. Now, our main event is the finals of the Tokyo Princess Cup. Our competitors, we have Yuki Aino and Ryo Mizunami. Now, of course, those who know Ryo Mizunami, I often say she was involved in the very first ever AEW show back in 2019 when she teamed up with Ryo and Hikaru Shida against Emi Sakura, Aja Kong, and Yuka Sakazaki. Now, Ryo Mizunami has always been a very impressive wrestler. But here's the thing, recently, not too long ago, her and her opponent, Yuki Aino, were tag team champions, and they lost those belts to the current tag team champions as we speak. However, this was a very interesting matchup. Now, to me, I was voting for Yuki Aino, not because, I think we're cute, no. I've seen her, how much she has grown. I mean, many people will probably associate her from her sister, Nonaka Temna. If you guys remember, she and her sister were known as the Bakuratsu sisters, which means the Blood Sisters. And of course, not too long ago, her sister retired and graduated from Tokyo Pro Wrestling. And whenever they go to Okayama, they visit her and all that. But I felt like Yuki Aino needed to grow much. I mean, not to step out of just the shadow, but to finish what her sister could not do. I mean, I can say that, of course, Nonaka has never reached a higher level in the promotion. And I'm looking at Yuki Aino as like, oh, she can actually do it. I mean, maybe finish what her sister couldn't do. And I felt that way. But unfortunately, that did not go exactly like I would have thought. It was Ryo Mizunami who picked up the win when she applied a driver on her. And just like that, she's the winner. I can tell in the look she's disappointed. But I no doubt in my mind, as a fan, that she could actually will become a champion. I mean, we had that same expectations with Miyu Watanabe for a long time. And I wouldn't be surprised we see that with Yuki Aino. Soon enough, she will reach that potential, and I will hopefully glad to witness that. So, but of course, with Ryo Mizunami winning, you know what that means. She will face, of course, Ryo Mizunami winning. That means she'll face Miyu Watanabe for the title. So that is something we're definitely going to see. So until then, this is what we have for Tokyo Pro Wrestling, and now we'll move on with Marigold. Well, as you guys know, we continue with more with Marigold with their Summer Gold Shine, which is, of course, we're in day 12. Finally, I figured out what day it is so they were doing this. And of course, it's over. Giulia's finally done with her last Japanese wrestling show, and she will be making her way to WWE. So let's talk about A to Z. Now, of course, the main event was going to be the gauntlet match, which is obviously what the real deal is. Now, our first match, we have Myla Grace, Zeta Steel, and Mia Matsumi. They take on Yuki Minami, and of course the other Minami, Komomo, and Natsumi Shozuki, which obviously, as you know, you probably can guess that we saw there's still that rivalry between both Shozuki and Misa, because Misa wants to challenge for the Superfly Championship at some point, but we'll get to that. But the match was okay, but it was in fact, what's her name? Misa who picked up the victory with an elevated rope DDT. Basically, she put Yuki on her feet right on top of the ring ropes, and then DDT down, and just like that, picked up the win. Now, on a side note here, I want to put this also is the last match for Zeta Steel on her Marigold tour. No telling when she'll be back. I'm sure the fans love her. I'm sure she did a great impression during her Japanese tour. So it's fun while it lasted, but I'm sure we will see her because last time we've been seeing her, she's been pairing mostly with MLW, but we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Bozilla, Chiaki, and Nozaki. They take on Nao Ishikawa and our current Twin Star Tag Champions, Masakurai and Mirai. So basically, we have that coming the way. Of course, we were going to see dirty tactics coming from Chiaki and Nozaki. Well, Bozilla doesn't need to do that because she's a big girl and she knows how to bring the pain. Unfortunately, Bozilla actually used the chair on Ishikawa, and then she applied a pile driver, and just like that, they won. So it was very disappointing. Now, we had a very interesting tag match, and this one I think many of you may like. We have Twin Towers, Chikagoto and Kyuki Amari. They team up with, hold on, who did they team up again? Oh. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick here. I messed up on my notes. Dumb effing me. Oh yeah, now okay. So, Twin Towers, Chikagoto, Kyuki Amori, and Miku Anu. They take on Kizuna Tanaka, Victoria Yuzuki, and Utami Ayashida. Now, personally, you would think in the back of your heads, all right, you got the stronger team being Miku Anu and Twin Towers. Now, obviously, the last time Twin Towers were in face to face with Kizuna and Yuzuki, you would think that was an amazing match. That match ended in a time limit draw, would put them in a predicament. However, I thought the match was pretty impressive in every way possible. But however, this time, this match is the same results like last time. Basically ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. I'm sure they're trying to question how is it possible that a bunch of rookies are able to be this strong. I mean, look, we know that Yuzuki is gifted. We know she can pick up wins when it's possible. But you look at that, Yuzuki, we cannot deny, she was 2023 Stardom Rookie of the Year. Very impressive. She even picked up her first win on her after a month. And of course, Kizuna Tanaka, second generation wrestler. Both her parents are wrestlers. Not to mention her mom has a connection with Rossi. So basically, it's there. But I'm sure this match, being a 15-minute time limit draw, was the last thing that, of course, everybody wants. But the real question I ask myself, does this also put, of course, another predicament for Twin Tower for another shot of the tag titles? Well, they're going to get it, but would that put them unfocused? I don't know. But we will see. But we'll find out until then, I think, to the next show. We'll see when they start adding it. Now, the match we've been waiting for is, of course, the gauntlet match. Giulia facing the entirety roster and also some surprises. Now, this is how it goes down. Giulia's first opponent, it was Miyuki Minami. Well, she won, and that one took about only 48 seconds. Well, let me backtrack something for you guys. This match is a traditional gauntlet match. You only have 1 minute with the opponent. Now, I know some of you would think that's not a lot, but the best part about that is that you try to do your best you can, and of course, you get tired. But the real question is, How far can Giulia handle the stamina taking it out? We know she has done a gauntlet match in Stardom with 3 minutes. And of course, everybody hasn't forgotten that Waka Tsukiyama lasted 3 minutes with her. So that's the real question. Now, she did beat her first opponent, Mika Minami, after 48 seconds. And then, of course, there's the other Minami, Komomo. She beat her as well after 47 seconds. And then later, she faced Kizuna Tanaka. That match ended in a time limit draw. Well, I don't know how you should treat that. She was able to defeat Zeta Steel after 30 seconds. And then, of course, she ended up another time limit drop with Mila Grace. Yeah. And then she defeated Ria Seto with 52 seconds. That's too bad. And of course, now the next few matches. Well, I don't know. So here's who she ended up in time limit draw from this later. Nagisa Nozaki, Chiaki Matsui, Kyuki Amari, Chika Goto, Natsumi Shizuki, Nao Ishikawa, Miko Ano, Nana Takahashi Mirai, Bozilla, and Suri. However, this next match she was in, well, she lost to this one after 45 seconds, and you guys will be surprised who was the one to beat her in this match. That person, Victoria Yuzuki. I was like, you gotta be effing me, and she did it well. I have to say, not bad. And then she had ended. Then she had another time limit draw with Nori from the other promotion, and then she ended up in a in a time limit draw with 4 of the rookies: Nagisa Sakamura, Kokuki, Seri Yamaguka, and well, they're kind of they're still in training, but yes, so she faced all 3 of them, but ended up in time limit draw. And then of course the one person that many people, I mentioned this, Tsukasa Fujimoto, but that match ended in a time limit draw. And then finally, I wish we could have had a singles match with her. And that person is Utame Ishida, and this match ended in a time limit draw. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line, Giulia gets a singles match. I'm sure that's something that many fans want to see, but we will see. And of course, after the whole match, Giulia gave her speech, she got her flowers. She said her final arrivederci to everyone and bowed down, and that's pretty much it. So we all know where her stop is, so we'll get to that at some point. So I think that's pretty much it with Marigold. So let's move on with Stardom. Okay, we're almost at the end with Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix. As you all know, things could change, but the real question is who will advance. And of course, we know that Tam Nakano, well, things have not been looking well for her throughout this entire tournament, all thanks to that dumb, decisive bitch, Natsuko Tora. Yeah, she made her knee a target throughout the entire tournament. Thanks a lot, Natsuko. So anyway, let's get started with everything from A to Z. Our first match we have, of course, is the Blue Star B. We have Rana Yagami versus Zuzu Suzuki. Well, I have to say Rana Yagami did pretty good with 2 matches, not to mention beating Hana, which is a great thing to have, and not to mention beating her teammate Saki Kashima. But nonetheless, she had a pretty good, some pretty good matches. But however, Zuzu, a former and last year's 5-star Grand Prix, picked up the win with the tequila shot, and just like that, it was over. Now for the Blue Stars A block, we have Miyu Amasaki versus Suri. Now, this is not the first time these two have tangled with each other. If you guys remember clearly, Suri put her in a chokehold and she fast asleep. Basically, Suri was more concerned about her well-being, but of course, that was practically normal. But however, of course, Miyu Masaki did pretty good, but not well enough. Of course, she ended up losing with one of her finishers, and just like that. However, Shuri ends her tournament, goes with the total of 8 points, but Amasaki goes with 3. Now to the Red Stars B, we have Saya Ida versus Azumi. So of course, Azumi did pretty well. Not to mention, you know, being defeating Mayu Iwatani, and of course getting hopefully to get a shot of the IWGP Women's title. But however, this match was another surprising. Saida was able to pick up a pinfall towards her, and just like that, gaining her next 2 points, which was very surprising. But the question does remain, since she was at the top, does this put her in a predicament? Well, most likely it could, but we will see what happens. Now, we go to the Red Stars A. We have Minami versus Maika. Well, I can tell you this match. Well, we know that Maika does have already the top spot of her block, but she did finish off Minami with Manami with a Michinoku driver, and just like that, she ends up with 12 points, while Manami ends up with 5. Now we're still with the Red Stars A. We have Raka versus Yuna Mizumori, but this is the most interesting part. Mizumori actually went, instead of making her entrance, she ran up to Ruka and attacked her. Now, I can think of a few things why. One, we all know she was in the tournament, but she was unable to, of course, pick up any good wins. But at the same time, I would like to think that maybe she's attacking her because A, she's a member of Hate, B, attacked her leader and friend Tam Nakano, which of course was obvious. But you would think that's the real questions. But however, it was of course Ruka with the double choke slam onto her and pick up her next win, and ended with total of 3. While of course Mizunami ends with just 0. Now, our next match, we have Blue Stars B. We have Tekla versus Saki Kashima. Now, of course, Tekla will love nothing more to make a hurt for Kashima. But Kashima, like I said, whenever it comes to a member of Hate, she's all effing business. If you don't believe me, she hates them for what they've did, especially Natsuko Tora for kicking her out. And of course, not to mention Konami for, of course, betraying Shuri in that way. And of course, she is not, whenever it comes to Hate, she doesn't play games. Now, of course, Tekla would do whatever it takes. I mean, beat her up, toss her to chairs. But no matter what, I like to say this of Kashima, she played like a cockroach who'd rather not die. And she did pick up a win with the Kishikase, which was awesome right there. And of course, Tekla would have her temper tantrums and attacked her. But I don't think it didn't matter to Kashima as long as she got her win, knowing the fact that she got her very, very good. And I'm sure Tekla's going to bitch and complain about it, knowing too well that this is not how she wants it. But at least Kashima gets the last laugh. And I would like to say maybe Shuri should be proud of her, knowing that even though she's a bit of a jokester and a trickster, but when it comes to Hate, she's all business. So I would say Shuri should be proud of her, that she has come a long way from that. Now we jump into a non-tournament match. We have Anna Jay teaming up with Hina, and of course they face against Hate. Surprise, surprise, we have Rina and Natsuko Tora. Now, as you all know, we do know that Hina and Rina, on the 31st, they will face each other for the future belt. But of course, we're going to see some dirty tactics, very coordinations from Hate. But it was Hina who picked up the win. Rina picked up the win with her twin sister Hina with the double diving knee drop, and just like that, it was over. Now, keep in mind, this is about building momentum before that day. So hopefully we'll see what happens down the line. Now back to tournament, we have the Blue Stars A. We have Koguma versus Sayuri Anu. Now, of course, Anu, if she wins, she continues on into maybe advancing in the tournament. But however, the one thing that was surprising is Koguma picking up a win with the Kuma roll, and just like that. However, this put Sayuri Anu in a very, very bad predicament. So basically, this is where things get interesting. That if Starlight Kid wins, Sayuri Anu is out. So she stayed in next to Okada just to be sure. And of course, Kid actually faced against Xena, which Of course, it was obvious what's going to happen. But it was, of course, Starlight Kid with the Black Tiger leg killer that sealed the deal for everyone. And just like that, it was completely over. Saito Inoue is out. And, I mean, it was frustrating. It is tough in the summer for these tournaments. But Starlight Kid, she's in. She's advances. Now jump into the Red Stars A. We have Azuki and Natsupoi. Now, of course, you would think in some capacity with Azuki, if she defeats Natsupoi, she could get a potential shot of the white belt. But however, these ladies went strong and will at any way possible. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw, of course, with 15 minutes. That leaves, of course, Natsupoi with 9 points, and of course Azuki with 7. Now I'm not sure who advances in the Red Stars A, but a lot of things have come to light on that one. But here's how it goes down. Let's jump into the next 2 matches with the Red Star B block. Our next match, we have Tomoka Inaba and Mayu Iwatani. So, of course, we're going to see some interesting things coming from the icon herself versus Inaba. But, however, it was Mayu Iwatani who was able to pick up the win, finishing off with 10. So I would like to say that maybe, just maybe, she's in the top with 10 points, while Inaba with 6. Now, the next match is where things got a little interesting in 2 different fronts. Now, one, it's Mei Sita versus Tam Nakano. Now, that's the first front. That one, as you probably know, the entirety of the tournament, Tam Nakano was unable to pick up a win, even after being eliminated out of contingency. Now, many fans might have hoped maybe she'd just get 1 win. No, it did not. Once again, her knee has been the target of attention to everyone in the tournament. And of course, Tam Nakano will take revenge on all of them for attacking her knee by using it. So, however, there was a submission coming from Mei Sita, and of course, the ref called it, even though Tam did not tap. She refused to tap, but they had no other choice. Mei Sita ended up with 8 points. But however, this is where things got a little complicated. Apparently, there was a 3-way tie, on this one. Of course, it was her, Mei Sita, Azumi, and Tomoka Inaba. So basically, there's going to be a 3-way match who will advance in the next round. So that's obviously what's happening. Now, our next match, we have Saya Kamitani versus Hanan. Now, of course, Kamitani will stop at nothing to go and advance to the next round. Well, however, that did not do any well for her. However, she lost to Hanan, and she applied a somewhat of a suplex, and just like that, it was over. But there will be more things to come. As I said, we are not that far off from the end, but we will see what happens. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is and move on with our last and final review, AEW All In. Our last and final review, AEW All In Wembley Stadium. Now, let's start with the pre-shows, the pre-show itself. We have a very interesting tag matches. Well, we have, of course, Private Party, Isaiah and Mark teaming up with Ari Daivari, the Dark Order, Silver and Reynolds, Satnam Singh, and Jay Lethal, and of course, Anthony Ogogo. They take on Kyle Fletcher, Rocky Romero, Kip Sabian, Tommy Billington, Leo Rush, Action Andretti, and Top Flight. Now, of course, this is a very huge tag team match. So basically, I think it's an 16-man. So I feel bad for the ref that he or she has to maintain order. Of course, a lot of chaos was going to happen. And of course, we did see Evil Uno being there, doing that whole Brody Lee, tossing the papers, that sort of thing. There were a lot of good moments in this match. But it was, in fact, a frog splash by Dante Martin onto Daivari that gave him and his team the win. Now, our next match, we have the mixed tag match. We have, of course, Stokely Hathaway and Chris Statlander taking on Tomohiro Ishii and Willow Nightingale. However, there's a stipulation in this match. Whoever wins this match, there's going to be a stipulation for the CMLL Women's World Title that Willow Nightingale won. And however, because I had a feeling that Stokely Hathaway was not going to take that kindly, that I knew this was going to be about that. So, however, of course, Stokely thought that he spine bust Tomohiro Ishii. I mean, Ishii has done it millions of times. That did not work. Then Statlander was not afraid to stand up against him. But unfortunately, Stokely Hathaway got the sliding lariat by Ishii and gave them the win. I feel bad for Stokely. I don't feel bad for that little weasel. But anyway, he got what he deserves. Now, to our surprise, we have, of course, Martha Hart, the widow of the late Owen Hart, his wife, of course, came there to give the good luck to, of course, the winners of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Winners, of course, Bryan Danielson and Mariah May. So it's great that she's there. I'm sure she's going to enjoy the fun. Now, our last match of the pre-show, we have, of course, a very interesting 10-man tag match. We have the members of Cage of Agony, Brian Cage, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan, along with Taven and Mike Bennett of the Undisputed Kingdom. They take on Sammy Guevara, Katsuyori Shibata, Dustin Rhodes, and of course, the Von Erichs, Ross and Marshall. Of course, there was going to be some interesting moments in this one too. Not to mention, of course, Sammy, Dustin, and the Von Erichs are Texan boys, and at Shibata, he's an honorary Texan. But of course, there was going to be some interesting times of the Claw, and of course, Kevin Von Erich gets involved in this one. Of course, he gets involved. But however, we do see a swanton by Sammy to Taven, but it was Dustin who picked up the win. Then all hell broke loose with a retaliation in this one. And then Kevin Von Erich, who has more balls of his own age, he stood up against, of course, those guys, and then everybody gets the Claw. So, not bad. And of course, they're calling these guys the Sons of Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if that's their stable name, the faction name. I think that's what they should call themselves, the Sons of Texas, because they're all from Texas. Now, before the opening ceremony, the pre-show ended, we did see Saraya along with company like Harley Quinn and a few others, of course, who, of course, not happy the fact that she did not get her Wembley moment, but somebody got their Wembley moment, and I think people have been asking about this, when she'll be back. Well, she's back. Jamie Hayter's back and got her Wembley moment. And of course, we're going to see Saraya this coming Wednesday bitch and complain about how her Wembley moment was stolen. Well, too bad. So, we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Now let's jump into the main card. We have, of course, the Trios titled, the AEW World Trios title in a London ladder match. We have, of course, the House of Black, the Bang Bang Gang, the BCC, Yuta, and Castagnoli and Pac taking on the Patriarchy. Now, of course, all hell was going to break loose. We're going to see people get hurt, toss off the ladders. That sort of thing was insane. But the one thing that was interesting, now, Christian Cage, he's nothing but a glory hog piece of garbage. Quillswitch could have won this match if Christian Cage did not get his own ego in the way. That was his mistake. Now, of course, that idiot Nigel McGuinness can complain and bitch about it, saying, oh, Christian Cage is being a hero. No, he just wants to glory, Nigel. So, cry me a river, because I know you want to see Bryan Danielson lose. That's the problem. But, however, it did not happen because Killswitch hold, of course, Christian Cage down, making sure that Pac was the one who picked up the win. So, it was very surprising. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Claudio Castagnoli and everybody else in the BCC asked him to join. I mean, he does seem the type in their ways. I mean, yeah, but that's up to him. Now, our next match is the AEW World Women's Title. Mariah May, the winner of the Owen Hart Cup tournament, versus Toni Storm. Now, this is something that many people have broomed. Some people even speculated and saw this one coming, that Mariah May was going to turn on Toni. But the one person who's caught in the middle of this, but she's not involved, she's from a distance watching, we're talking about Mina Shirakawa. However, the match, you can guess that Mariah May will do everything possible to end Toni Storm. And she even attacked Luther as well. And then she slapped her own mother. I mean, I don't know what Nigel McGuinness thinks. He always is a kiss ass supporting her. And of course, Tony Schiavone makes a good point. How can you support someone who does that to their own mom? So that kind of sets it up right there. But once again, this match ended with a storytelling where Mariah May uses Storm Zero, and just like that, she is our brand new AEW Women's World Champion. And of course, the real question is, who will challenge her next? Well, we'll see what happens. Now, our next match is the FTW title, which is a title that Jericho calls for the world title, which that does not what means what it is, even though that's what Jericho thinks. So Jericho told Hook that if he does not win this match, it's over. He will not get another shot. Now, of course, Jericho was going to have his little flunkies, Big Bill and Brian Keith, to help him out. And of course, Hook actually pulled a fast one on Jericho. He was okay. He wasn't even blind. So Jericho lost, didn't see that one coming. And then, of course, there was a moment where Jericho accidentally took out Big Bill, and he landed on a board full of barbed wires. And then later, Hook put him in a red rum. Brian Keith tried to get involved, but Taz had enough. He decides to put Brian Keith in a Taz mission, and just like that, Hook won and regained the belt. And there was an amazing father and son moment. I mean, I'm sure Jericho is going to call out Taz for what he did, but we'll see what happens down the line. Now, our next match is the World Tag Team titles in a three-way match. Now, we have FTR versus the champions, the Young Bucks, versus the Acclaim. Now, of course, this match happened because all hell was breaking loose on who was going to be the tag champions. That's always been the case. However, we have seen how coordinated the Young Bucks are recently, even though they cut corners and do whatever it takes. We did see, of course, referee taken out, but the EVP trigger was tried on Dax Harwood, and just like that, they remain tag champions. However, during the post-match, we just saw the grizzled young veterans, and they visually seem like they're after the tag belts, but they attacked FTR regardless. I'm not sure if that's like a way of saying we're taking out every tag team there, because as you know, they would think of the tag team, FTR, you guys, you're done. It's over. Same thing with others. So I would be surprised if they become the next challengers. So that is something we could see. Now, we did see, of course, the Casino Gauntlet match. We saw, what's their name? The first person, Orange Cassidy, then Okada. So they were there. We did see Kyle O'Reilly. Who else? I try to think. Oh, yeah. Nigel McGuinness somehow got in there. And of course, he's only there because he wants to upstage Bryan Danielson. He's obsessed in seeing him end. And then, of course, we saw Zack Sabre Jr. We saw the Battle of the Brits. Then after that, we did see Hangman Page shows up. And then, of course, there was talk about if he was going to be there. Well, he showed up. Ricochet showed up. It was great to see him. And then Christian Cage showed up. Killswitch even showed up. We thought that he was going to do things on his own way, but no, he actually helped Christian out of nowhere. I don't know what's going on. And Christian Cage won by pinning Kyle O'Reilly, and that was so messed up. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. As you know, Christian Cage is determined to win the AEW World Title. He's been unable to do that with Swerve Strickland, but we will see what happens down the line. I wouldn't be surprised that he will make his claim on Wednesday. That's something we could definitely see. Now, our next match is the AEW American title, or as we call it, the International title. Will Ospreay versus MJF. This match was crazy. I mean, MJF did a moonsault off the ring rope outside the ring. I mean, he said anybody can do a flip. He even, Will Ospreay took out the camera guy by accident thanks to MJF when he ducked. And then, of course, he was about to use, of course, this tape that kind of like he used to take out Moxley. And apparently that was stopped with the arrival of Daniel Garcia. So basically, he saw a ghost. And then, of course, he finally did it. Will Ospreay did the one thing he's been avoiding for months. And he did it. The Tiger Driver 91. So, but at the post-match, we did see, of course, What's his name? Hold on a minute. Bueno. Bueno. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Bye. Sorry, folks. So anyway, see, Christopher Daniels brought out, of course, the international title right where it's supposed to be. I don't know if he got it out of the garbage, thanks to MJF, but it's back where it's supposed to be. Now, our next match is the TBS title, Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné. Now, a lot of people have talked about that this wasn't a really good match, but I think one of my favorite moments is, of course, is when Britt Baker pulled an Eddie. Now, of course, we all know Mercedes Moné is a big fan of Eddie. She actually got Camille in trouble, and it worked in her favor. But, however, this match ended with, of course, the Moneymaker. I think some people did not like this match, and I don't blame them. I don't think it was a good match either, but I don't know if there was a specific reason, but we will see. Now let's move on to the next match, the TNT Coffin match, Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. Darby Allin comes out with thumbtacks all over his face, which was crazy, but all hell broke loose. I mean, they were everywhere on the ring. Glass was brought upon, not to mention the coffin was used. Of course, we did see Darby Allin try to put him in the body bag sooner than later, and then of course he put him in a coffin. Darby Allin tried to pull a Undertaker, if you guys know what I mean, but it did not work either. And then of course, when they put him in, shut down the coffin, the Bucks show up because they're tending to burn Darby Allin to smithereens. But however, they were stopped by Sting, and I'm sure they said you could have just stayed retired, Sting. I mean, he was not gonna just stand by and watch Darby Allin get burned, but I'm sure that Jack Perry's gonna be bitching about it, but we'll see what happens. Now our main event is the AEW World Title, the final countdown of Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. This match was so brutal. Of course, Swerve is determined to did. He did the house call many times. Nothing worked. He even tried to hurt him in front of his family. Try to prove a point, but nothing worked. Everything the Swerve did, everything. The stomp, nothing. And then, of course, Hangman Page showed up and got the interference. As you know, Hangman was intending to do something. I don't know if this worked in Hangman's favor, but it kind of did because, what's his name? Swerve Strickland completely lost track of the ball. He must have thought in his mind that at Hangman will not get another opportunity. But however, it did not do any well when, of course, Bryan Danielson applied the lapel lock, and then he snapped his fingers, and then of course put him like in a somewhat of the Border City stretch type, and then he tapped out. That was the first time he tapped, and of course he finally become the AEW World Champion. He shared this moment with not only with members of the BCC and Pac, along with his family, Bree, his daughter Birdie, and I don't know what's the name of his son. But there's one thing I am going to can't wait to hear, is Nigel McGuinness bitching and complaining about, no, this is not supposed to happen. I mean, I'm sure Bryan Danielson would tell him, if you want a piece of this, Nigel, come and get it. So, that's something we could expect. But the real question I do ask, what is Christian Cage going to do now that he sees, okay, I'm facing against Bryan Danielson? That is something we could definitely see down the road. But for now, we'll just leave like that and wait until Wednesday. And I'm sure many of you will love to see that. So until then, let's move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events from the promotions. Now, we have MLW's upcoming Summer of the Beast taking place on August 29th. Now, this was a news that was making. Apparently, this is the debut of the Arn Andersons. As you know, we have, what's his name? Arn Anderson's son. I forgot what's his name. He's going to be involved, and there's another Anderson as well. So that's going to be very interesting. So I can't wait to see it. Now, finally, we have, of course, the AEW updates. Now, I could not put them in the review, but I figure I can put this on the news updates. 2 announcements were made during All In. The first one, as you know, there was talks about going to Australia in 2025. Well, it seems it's going to happen. So basically, the Grand Slam will take place in Australia on, of course, on February 15th in 2025. So if I have any Australian subscribers, so I would suggest try to find your ticket information, all that, and this will be at the Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. So yeah, so check it out. And also, as you all know, this was something that I think many people talked about. Apparently, AEW will have their annual Forbidden Door on August 24th in London. Now, the venue was not decided then, but however, I think many people will probably want to see it in Wembley. But I'm sure that's going to be, because I'm sure that they want to give WWE a chance to go to Wembley. I'm not sure, but we will see what happens. So we will find out more information on that. Now, finally, our developments. Daniel Garcia, as you know, made his return to AEW. However, many people have been talking about him due to the fact of his contract status. Now, this is what we do know. He is still with AEW. His contract will go all the way to October. Now, there's been discussions between both sides, between Garcia and AEW. So, just to remind, he has not signed a new contract yet. However, during a media scrum, Tony Khan refuses to discuss about that, refused to comment about that. I'm sure that they're working out a deal, but he doesn't want to give away too much. But we will see what happens. And of course, finally, MARIGOLD, as you all know, they just announced, they mentioned on Tokyo Sports that they will are planning for making their first U.S. show here in the States on WrestleMania week in Las Vegas. I believe that's what it was. Yeah. But this is what Rossy Ogawa mentioned. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick. I saved it for all of you. Here it is. Rossi said, I think with Giulia going there, MARIGOLD's name will spread too. Next April, we will be in Las Vegas, so we need to create more opportunities to spread the name MARIGOLD. So it makes perfect sense. If Giulia's going to be in WWE, there's no doubt that she probably will make an appearance in MARIGOLD. We saw that last year with certain WWE talent making their way to GCW for the Bloodsport event. So it would make absolute sense. So if that's the case, then we'll see what happens. But for now, I think that's pretty much it, what we have for our news updates. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, it's Monday. I haven't decided what to do yet, so there's a lot of wrestling I have to catch up with. But for now, we'll just leave things as it is. I'm just going to wing it, but for now, that's pretty much the deal. But I'll see what I can do after that. I haven't decided yet because I was mostly focused on this. I have that distinct feeling that this is going to be a long editing because all of that. But we'll see. But for now, I'll see you guys on the next episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.
Are you ready?